this ball rolling. All right, like I normally do, I'm actually gonna do two things a little bit differently today here. First of all, before I get into the swing of things here, I was looking at like my Twitch content manager thing, and I do notice the view count on like streams I've just done is not as low as it used to be, which is a good thing. But what I don't know for sure, what I think is happening is some people are tuning in after and maybe watching some of the first little bit of the stream. So what I'd like to do is up front just go ahead and say, if you're tuning in not in a live setting, maybe on YouTube or on my Twitch channel after I'm done streaming, if you're so inclined, please, you can help out by following the channel. You can help out by subscribing and commenting on the YouTube VODs channel. You can send me messages with tips or things you'd want to see or feedback of any kind. And if you can support me on Patreon, and the Patreon links are on my channel about page. That is something that I'm going to keep bringing up from time to time. Not that I need to pressure anyone into doing it. If you cannot support yourself, do not support other people. Very simple. But if you like what I'm working on, you want to see my channel grow and this kind of stuff continue over the course of time, you can help out with a bit of money, because money is a necessary part of how we live. And a little bit of that coming my way would be extremely helpful for growing this channel and improving the quality. Yeah, so Patreon, following, sharing this around to other people who might be interested, those kinds of things are extremely helpful. So that's my spiel for this channel. I just hope anyone hearing this can appreciate that, this is the necessary part of building and growing things out. It's not the most fun thing to hear or to see, but I gotta ask for some help sometimes, and that's the way it is. So that's that. I'm gonna sort out my chat here, put it up on my phone here, just as a little bit of a help. And then I'm gonna use Twitter. I don't usually use it much, but I'm gonna tweet out my stream and see if that does anything for me. Got to experiment, Okay, pop this out. Okay, so chat's up. Oh, let me do this though, just in case. I'm gonna do a little Twitter. Okay. Sorry, I'm doing this live. I've not tweeted really in a long time, so this is new territory for me. But yeah, it should be okay. There. let's go with that. Perfect. Okay, that's good enough for me for right now. We'll see what happens with that. All right, so okay, so what am I actually doing today? That's what I'll get into now. Let me see here. What's good? Okay, so let me just pop back into my scene here. Right, so I use some of my code base for SVG drawings and stuff like that to make quilt design patterns. My mom has a little side gig that she does. She quilts and she designs quilt patterns, and you can buy the PDFs off her website. And I help with making those PDFs. It's all, my eventual goal is to have a really smooth pipeline where my direct involvement with creating the designs is drastically reduced. And then eventually I get either some little percentage of sales, or we do a one-time purchase of the finished design. The money side isn't important at this time. This is a really nice opportunity to help both my own business model ideas, like as a sort of prototype thing, while also giving useful output. So eventually I want a really nice Clojure built pipeline where these PDFs can be generated with really nice drawings and stuff, kind of on a semi-automatic basis. So, but today I am in the process of making a design that this is all of it written up. I just have to kind of create diagrams for these kinds of things. So this is a really nice, I mean, I'm surely biased, but it's a really nice design, nice colors and things that my mom has designed. And basically I have to convert this document into something along the lines of this here. Oh, I actually, I'm going to open up a different one here. This is kind of the finished result sort of thing. So I'm basically here wanting to create this particular diagram, and then kind of going through most of this. So what's the deal here? I have created the code already that generates a lot of this stuff. Like, this is a finished design here. In my opinion, I'm really proud of it. I think it looks beautiful. But there's a few things related to the approach used in like the code, the design and architecture of it. I've kind of evolved since then, and so today I'm just gonna see how easy it is to recreate these kinds of diagrams with just the SVG code that I've since updated. If it's not easy, I'll have to kind of shim a few things and whatnot, but that's a problem for another day if I can't get it working. These here, this was a really hard thing to do initially. These print in true scale, so you print this, and here's a 1-inch square reference, right? And then you print these on paper, and you cut out these, you do a cutout of these pieces of paper, and then you can use that to trace the shape of the template pieces onto the fabric you're cutting. Then you cut the fabric, and then you use that to sew up the design. Anyway, all of these kinds of diagrams are, I wouldn't say they're trivial to make with my design library, but the whole idea is that this exact design library these diagrams are easier to make, and over time you can kind of collect some really nice tooling that makes it even easier. This is my favorite. It looks so nice in my opinion. Yeah, good colors, good everything. So what I've got on the screen here is this here is today's work, the newest thing, and this is an old reference. This up here, all of this code is related to this one, and I have to kind of do a bit of conversion work to get it all working properly, which is totally possible, but my work's cut out for me today. I'll put it that way. So what's going on here? Well, there's one thing I've done differently, and that is just to see if I like working this way. Instead of what I've done before is I wrote a markdown thing with some extensions inside it. Like with a custom parser, I guess, so that it could execute certain code inside the markdown parsing to put the diagrams in directly. Instead, what I'm doing here is this is actually a live reload Clojure environment or Clojure script environment. It uses the same basic code, but instead of running the code in Clojure, producing an HTML file, and then viewing that file, this just hot reloads it, and technically all of this is happening on the JavaScript side, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So technically I can make it a dynamic app. It's probably going to stay static today, but basically the workflow happens like this. If I need to change some stuff here, it's a good example. I'm in the middle of fixing this up because it's not what I want, but let me provide a little example here. If I comment this out, nothing changed, which I didn't expect. Well, okay. Let's change this. Oops, geez. Save that. Peculiar. Things aren't quite happening the way I expected them. Ooh. That's okay though. Alright, so let me go back one more step here. I'm in the middle of, there's a lot of things I'm trying to figure out. I haven't stepped into this particular code in a little bit, so it's gonna be a fun one. Let's comment that out there, and what I want to do is one of these. Yeah, so if I save that, there we go. Okay, so it's a live reload situation. Here we are. We've got something kind of working the way I want. Not totally, but I have reasons for that. And I can get to that in just a moment. So here, what I would like to do here is actually, if I just leave this at 0, 0, where does that end up going? Okay. So I have here, let me show, here I'm going to kind of explain what is going wrong a little bit here. There's a few things going wrong. Oh, right, of course, this is not doing anything here. Okay, so I designed the SVG library I'm using here to calculate rotates on elements so that they would always rotate locally, not globally. So by that I mean this here, this 45, rotates about the center point of this element here. It's also the case that the 0, 0 of any point is in its center, or any object is in its center. The thing that this is not true for is SVG group elements, because I, at the time of writing it, couldn't come up with a way to calculate the midpoint of a whole group and translate appropriately, nor could I figure out how to best represent, do the same with a rotation. So the issue I have is along these lines, where I have, what I want is this appearance here, SVG/G, grouping these elements together. But if I save this, the positions of all those things is all weird, and that's because when you put a rotate and a translate on a group unit, the way it's all built up in my code base is that it rotates globally. So if you translate a group out a certain amount and then rotate it, it'll rotate about the global 0 point, so it'll pivot wildly like this. The other problem is, the translate, I do believe, of a global or of a group element here, it just applies them directly to the group. What I would actually rather have happen is it applies the rotate and the translate to the group's subcomponents. I think the reason I didn't do that is because I was lazy, or I didn't have it. Maybe I don't know how to do it, but that's the slight problem I'm having here. So just for the time being, what I want to do is just set this up so as if it worked the way I wanted, and get the basic shapes in position. So here, what I'd like to do is have this be okay, there we go, that's good. This one, 45, which I'm gonna make it 90, but I wanna earmark it for a second. Perfect. So that's now 90. Okay. This one is gonna go right here, so I gotta move that to 1, 1. And this one's gotta be -1, 1. Boom. Okay, nice. Alright, so actually though, where am I at here? My code organization for these little design projects too could use some work. I don't have a good solution for the project management side of this stuff yet, unfortunately. It's always tricky because everything about what I'm doing is evolving. Kind of, they're parallel things, but they're all evolving at the same time. So my workflow changes, the projects I'm working on grows, and the code base is going from prototype to prototype. So things are unstable across a bunch of different layers, and including my own life and organization has some stuff that's in flux, right? None of these are problems. It just means like there's a lot of change on different layers, and it's hard to control the, like, if I need to keep, if I need to archive something, I technically have to archive all of the things that are relevant to it at the same time, right? And I haven't done that completely, so things break, and that's why I really am looking forward to and working hard to get to some stable version 1 kind of my libraries. Then I can pin everything to a version 1 release, and then I can enforce, like, make sure that I don't break specs and things like that. I'm really looking forward to that, but I have to finish out some prototyping and kind of use case testing before. And that's one reason why I do these projects before stuff is done. Force myself to use things instead of chasing perfection all the time. But that's a constant balance. It's not always easy. Okay. So, right. So what am I trying to do here? I'm focusing on this set of diagrams here. Okay? In particular this. I just want to see how much effort it is to recreate this whole sort of idea here. So the move is 1.75. So it's a 1/2 inch space between these, because those squares are 1 1/4 inch squares, right? So let's go here, right? So this here is what I'm referring to. It's a rectangle, 1 1/4 by 1 1/4 inch. Right, so instead of moving it 2 inches out there, I actually want to only move it 1/4 inch. Let's see if that makes any sense. Well, that's definitely not enough. Oh, of course, it's got to be 1.25 divided by 2 is 0.625, right? Yeah. That has to be plus 1/4, so it's got to be geez, 0.875 is what it actually has to be. Of course. All right. Okay. There we go. That looks pretty good. Right. So now what I want to do is try and figure out a smart way to handle this SVG group issue, because this just, I want the same kind of semantics. Let's see. What's the smart play here? Well, let me see here. If I do okay, SVG group creates that structure. So if I do drop 2 from an SVG group, I get just the elements of the group itself. So what I could do is make a let's see if I could figure this out very quickly. Let's go find a file in stylo.org. Let's have a quick peek into the SVG thing here and a look at the transforms elements here. So what I want to do is have a look at my element translation first for a second here of the G tag here. And I want to see if there's a smart way that I can just change this up. Okay. So this K props and content here, right? So what I could do is let's test this out quickly. The basic idea here is, okay. Basically what I want to do is, given any group thing and you pass a translate to it, find all of the components of that, find all of the content, and just map the translate over the content instead of doing anything in the group. So let's see if I can make that really easy. Okay, so all I actually need is, well, here, I'm actually going to copy this. Put a little comment here, experimenting with making a with pushes through group to all to instead map the translation onto all elements inside all children in the group. Okay, sure. So here basically instead of, so to do nothing, right, to do nothing at all, I actually just do this, K props content, like that. That'll return effectively the exact thing that came in without applying anything at all. So what I need to do instead is actually here I actually just need to map onto content the translate XY what I need to do here is declare translate, right? I think that makes sense. Not sure how easy this is to follow, but I think this could work. So I'll find out. I'll have to test it out. So translate takes X, Y, and the elements. Wait a second, let me see if I have that right here. SVG/translate 1, 1. If I pass this two things, circle, size 2, and the circle, oops, 5. It does work on multiple, so I actually can just do this. Translate XY content like this. Okay. All I have to do here is declare translate. The reason for that is translate is a function defined after this here, so it would, on compilation, it would complain that this symbol doesn't exist, but since it compiles the whole thing, it can just find the definition later, and that's fine. I think that doesn't have real performance impact. It might, but I don't know, and I don't currently care. So let's do the same basic idea. Rotate element G, and let's have a look at that. Let's do the same thing here. Okay. Okay, let's do the same thing. Declare rotate, in which case, if I do the same thing here, if I do SVG/rotate, it takes a degree number, so let's do 45, and that works on a list as well. So theoretically, this will work and will automatically work recursively if there's a group inside a group, because the rotate function calls rotate element on whatever's passed into it, so it should just work automatically, I think. We'll see. We will see. Okay, so all I do here is return K props, the original properties of the group, no difference. And instead of content, I do rotate degree content. Oops, and return that. Okay, let's save this. And let's see what happens. I do believe if I can't remember if I'll have to reload the project entirely and recompile. I might have to, but we'll experiment with that in a moment. What I want to do is get this back to the state that I want to have it, SVG/G. Group these things together. Oops. Okay. That's that. And then this might be wrong now. It's not as wrong as I thought, actually. Surprisingly. Hey, yes. Oh my goodness, that is amazing. Okay, that fix was way smoother than I expected it to be. Let's do a sanity check here. Yes. Oh my goodness, that is so fantastic. That, I can't believe how smooth that was. Alright, I'm happy with that. I'm super jazzed about that. Okay. Cool. Okay, so I'm taking a little satisfying break because I relatively quickly fixed a problem I thought I would have a bigger a harder time with, and I was just looking see if there's any engagement on my little tweet. Someone retweeted it, so I have no clue if that particular person is tuned in at all, but if you are, thank you very much. Much appreciated. If there's anyone watching now who is not or is curious what's going on, or not sure, if I like to just talk about what I'm doing or if I like to engage in the chat, feel free to join in and chat, talk about whatever. Sometimes I ask if people are working on any little projects, any coding things of their own, how people's day is going, anything kind of like that. I genuinely love engaging with the chat, so if you're there listening and you would like to, you go right ahead. There's never any pressure. If you want to just tune in and not chat, that's totally cool too, but I always love a little bit of participation, It's fun. Okay, so I'm going to explain out loud so that I am tracking with what's going on. Some things that have changed here. So why am I redoing some of these functions if I've already got the code for the diagrams all nicely written out to produce nice looking diagrams like this? The fundamental reason is trying to improve on prototypes to a more finalized architecture. So for example, all of this code here is the code responsible for the different segments of this drawing here, which is nice, but I used shorthand, move, I didn't namespace things, and I didn't want to conflate SVG transformations with transformations that I use for 2D and 3D drawings in a CAD context. So I split out different bits of my libraries. So I have a dedicated SVG namespace that does now all of this sort of thing. I was originally thinking that I would have sort of extensions to my document producing library, but I'm not sure that that makes sense anymore. It might make more sense to treat different projects as their own, loosely speaking, application, where I pull in just different bits that I know I'll need for that project. So when I made this, I had a little namespace called Fabric, which was some custom code for doing quilt patterns. And I just want to see how easy it is to translate those ideas back over to my more general SVG namespace. That's the idea here. It's more of a personal experiment to see what parts of the workflow stick and work nicely and which ones don't. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. We'll have to see. We shall see. Okay, so next bit of diagram is this here. So I think I'll go ahead and try and create that element. Okay, so BBB. Let's do this here, def BBB. Naming is a hard thing to do with all kinds of diagram substeps and things, so I just kind of resort to sequential naming because it makes intuitive sense while you're doing it, and it's not too hard to reverse back later on. It's not terrible. Okay, so here I have, you know what, I did try to wrap this whole thing up into a bit of a function as well, which I think is a wise thing to do, but I'll get to that later. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit here. Okay, so bb-b is actually a function that takes in a class argument to change the color. In this particular case, I think I should keep it semantically the same, so I'm going to do that as well. Let's do that. BBB. Color class. Let's call it out specifically. Okay. Why does this look... My brain is thinking something different here. That should be fine. Okay, so SVG. Here I've got a rectangle, and that's actually it, right? Oh no, there's even, it contains BBA, interestingly. Oh, there's another thing here. I'll get to that in a moment. Let me finish this up. Okay. Well, let's just get at it. I can do this easily enough. Oh. The style for this one is actually going to be string color class line. That's the class of this rectangle, but this time the dimension of this is 2.5. Okay. And the next element in this particular thing is, BB, a copy of BBA translated, which I like to do now with this. It's a little easier to read, often, usually. SVG/translate. Okay, and the translation is moving that particular element I think 1.25 makes sense. Let's see. This translation might be wrong, but that's okay. Okay, that's BB-B, and to check it, let me go ahead and do one of these little sneaky copy pastes, because why not? Sometimes that's the nice easy thing to do. BB-B. These are all going to be wrong, but I just want to get a visual confirmation. It should be okay. Step 2. Okay, so step 1, instead of translating it way out there, I'll just translate it 1-1. Let's bring it over here. Let's save this, and if I didn't create errors, it should draw something. Well, it turns out it didn't, but that's okay. So there's something wrong. Let's have a little look here. Where did I go wrong? That's my question. Well, if I just do that, let's get things to a working state again. It's always the hard part, or sometimes the hard part. It's not here, is it? Oh, I see. I know what's wrong. Right, so here this is a function now, and I didn't call it with an argument. So I need to do this. Bounding box B has the color in one instance of, oh, I also, if I want to do it the same way, I have to do color, color, rotate, and here the color I want to give it is defined by this particular part here, AB, AB. Okay, let's give that a shot. Hey, there we go. Okay, that's promising. Those are not the colors I want this time around, but the colors are easy to change. They're just defined in a style string up here. Not perfectly elegant, but functional for what I need now. Okay, so what I need to figure out is, okay, so that is step one. I'm gonna finish step one in a moment. Something's not exactly the way I expected it to be, though it's not so much a problem yet. Let me just do this. It's always good to simplify your stuff down to one case, build it out as what you need, and go from there. Okay, so here my bb-b, this translate is incorrect. What I need, if I do 0, 0 as a starting point, there we are. Man, that looks nice. Okay, so I need to move it 2.5 minus 0.625 is 1.875, I think. Too much. 1.875 minus 1 1/4. Oh, 0.625 is that right? There we are. Okay, nice. So now in step 2 here, to move this in a nice 1/2 inch separation, I have to move it first halfway of 2.5, so that's 1 1/4, so 1.75. Should be correct. We shall see rather quickly. All right, let's see. So close. Okay, so something's not working the way I thought it would, and that I'm not sure I understand yet. Let me think about this. Okay, so there's one problem with my grouping approach. I can't do, oh man, this is tough. I kind of want the group approach to only go one layer deep so that it, boy, this is harder. So the reason these are all, so you can see, boy, oh boy, I've just made my life hard for myself. Okay, well, so approve. I think now when I save this, all four of these will go to the left side, and if that's the case, yeah, my group approach works a little too well. I only want it I kind of need two different group types. Let me think about that. I need a pass-through group and a stop-at group kind of thing. Dang, this is hard. Okay. Let me just think on my feet for a minute. Okay. So this is tricky because the only reason that it actually appeared to work perfectly for this case here is because the square and the diagonal dashed line were both about the center point, so applying the rotate to each of them didn't cause any visual incorrectness. What let's see here. Let's delete that message. So If I instead did something like I'm gonna see what I can do with something like this for a second. If I create some fake element name, call it group. If I leave the original G tag option like this, save this. So group is the pass through and G is the leave it be sort of thing. Will that work? It actually, I don't think it will. No, it won't solve my problem because okay. Group rotate. Gotta move this into there. Okay. So group rotate. If I let the rotate pass through a group, it rotates every child element locally. This has the effect of ignoring grouped elements that you do want to rotate about the group's center. So what does need to happen is that how do I explain it? The rotate has to look through all of its children, find all of the geometry of the children, and calculate some midpoint about which to rotate for all of those children elements. Yeah, instead the group must be rotated about its geometric center. Its center. This might be achievable through a bounding box calculation or something like that. Boy, oh boy, this is going to be a challenge. The reason that has to happen is when you group something, you want to rotate all of those things as if they're a single object. You don't want to rotate each of those things as if they're independent. But that's a bit of a pain to do. And technically, I have to do that for the translate as well. It just happens to be true that if you translate a group of things to a certain position, that is geometrically equivalent to if you translate all of the subcomponents as well. Basically what I need to be able to find some midpoint calculation for any possible shape that's inside a group element, and that's going to be a challenge. Unless it's a little bit easier than I think. So, well, I have this bounding box center 2D of points. What I don't have is a guaranteed way to get these. If I can get the center points of every possible object, I could use those center points to get the midpoint of the group. Is that going to work? Does that make sense? I don't know. I think so, though. Okay. I'll give it a try. Okay. Whoops. Come on. Come on, brain. Can you use your brain today? That's my challenge. Make sure that chat is up. Okay, let's see here. Any luck on people tuning in? Just out of curiosity, if there's anyone watching now without a Twitch account, that'd be interesting to know. And how could you, well, I don't know, if you don't have an account but you're tuned in and watching this right now, consider making an account so that you can follow this channel and you could actually talk in the chat and all that kind of stuff. If you don't have an account and you're not interested in making one, you could maybe interact with me in other ways, Twitter, YouTube, that kind of thing. I'm kind of just thinking out loud here. I should be focusing on the diagram work I'm trying to do, but it's on my mind about how to get engagement and grow the channel too, so that's kind of a dual consideration I have. Right, so okay, let's figure this one out. Okay, so the new transform, yeah. It's just a string with the rotate degrees in it, right? There's no other logic calculated in this instance. There's nothing special about it. What I do use, I have this rotate point thing here. This rotate point about center thing is relevant, maybe. Right, so in this case here, bounding box center 2D of a set of points is relevant, right? Oh man, that's embarrassing. I'm thinking while I'm sipping coffee and I'm trying to talk, and you just end up choking on your coffee. That's not my proudest moment. Right. Okay. I always forget my midpoint. I'm pretty sure it works with 2D points just fine. Yes, it does. So f/midpoint is going to be a very useful function. In fact, I wonder if it's I wonder if I should just replace it. BB center 2D. I don't know if I like, or if I takes a list of points, so does midpoint. Might Might see if there's a better way to do this. They would be different, right? If I, let's come up with a scenario. I'll do an isosceles triangle will have a different midpoint than bounding box center, right? I think that's true. So let's draw one. So we'll go from 0, 0 to, let's see, 2, 10, right? That's good. Nice tall point. And then it'll have to be 4, 0. Whoops. Right? Okay, so the midpoint of that is 2, 5. That makes total sense. Or the bounding box center of that is 2, 5. And the midpoint, yeah, that, okay, so they're, excuse me, they are mathematically different. So this actually, in this case, for this, while I'm just looking at this, I do actually want it to be the midpoint, I think. In many cases with nicely shaped objects, it'll be I'm trying to think what would actually be more desirable. Often you'll have, I think I should actually leave it as the bounding box center for now anyway. I'll leave it be. So in the case of an isosceles triangle, for example, if I'm rotating about its like center of gravity, which is what this midpoint function actually is calculating, it's like the weighted midpoint versus the bounding box midpoint, it might actually be more desirable to just rotate about the bounding box midpoint because you can visually determine where that is much easier, and often it'll be a nice, well, it'll be a cleaner division of the measurements you're using, right? In the case of this right here, right, it's annoying if you need to manually position things to have to know exactly where, like it's not as intuitive where this position is. So leaving it as the bounding box center might give more intuitive results. So I'm going to leave it be for now. But okay, that's just, that's nice, that's all fine and good, but I still haven't solved the real problem here. That was a bit of a tangent thought anyway. This one here, it'll never matter because it's just a line. In the case of a line, the midpoint and the bounding box center are exactly equivalent always, where a line is just 2 points. And then the bounding box, the aligned bounding box of that, is always going to have the same, like the width and height are going to be equal to the x and y difference, so you end up with exactly the same calculation. It's not true of a path, it's not true of a polygon, not true of a polyline. It is true of a rectangle, and text is a whole other beast, which I'm not sure I want to handle, to be totally honest. Okay. How am I going to do this? That's the question I need to answer. I think I actually need to create a new def method, or def multi I mean. Let's try this. Okay, so let me do this little split ski here. paste that in as a starting point and cut this. And even before I do translate, I need to do okay. Def multi midpoint element. Def method midpoint element. All of the methods that are available. How many shapes are there? These are the shapes available. Let's just put those there as a reference. Oops. That's a scratch reference thing, no problem. Okay, transforms, midpoint element. We begin with this. Then we do the interface, which is just basically going to be exactly this. Defin midpoint, x, y, and elements. Let lm when element condition. Instead of translate element, we do midpoint element. And midpoint doesn't, it's not going to take any arguments actually. So midpoint element just takes a single element as an argument. That's basically it. Yeah, it should be straightforward enough. I think that's okay. Excuse me. Else recur. Okay, so that theoretically is good as the interface function for this multi-method midpoint element. And now it's just a matter of covering the bases for these things. So what is the right approach here? So when you get the midpoint element of a circle, the only argument you get is k and props. So that's what that'll always look like. And what you do in this case is I'm trying to think, do I need the whole bounding box of the element, or do I only need the midpoint? I'm going to start by assuming I only need the midpoint. Transforms are translate, rotate, and scale. Translate, all transforms work well for most objects. G and text are exceptions. They all rotate about the object's center point. They all rotate about the object's center point. Oh, sorry, they all transform. This has the effect of local first transformation. This leads to challenges with groups. Groups must have their midpoint calculated such that rotation and translation can correctly occur about the group's midpoint. Otherwise, a group will break. Uh-oh. That's not good. What's going on? Oof. Okay. I'll have to, the pros around this is, it's hard to explain it directly. I want to get a working implementation and then put in clearer examples as I go. Right, so in the case of a circle, you can have a rotate and a translate on it. So what does that look like? If I do, let's do this, thread last, SVG slash circle, radius 5, let's do SVG slash translate, 10 to, and we'll do SVG slash rotate, which is kind of useless in the case of a circle, but so be it, 45. And we'll do, for good measure, SVG slash scale. I think that will work. It does. Okay, so in the case of a circle, the center point is pretty easy to get, actually. Oh yeah, that's true also, that the circle turns into an ellipse if you scale it by a non-even factor here. Yeah, okay. Maybe not the smartest. But it's always going to be true that the rotate center point is always going to match the CX-CY. So actually, the midpoint of an element of a circle is actually really easy to get. Yeah, right? I don't need this to return I don't need this to actually return the element in any way either, right? I just need it to get me the midpoint of an element. think this will work. We'll see how. Whoops. We will see. We will see. Okay. So k props. All I need to do is get. In this case, all it needs to return is cx from props, cy props. That's true also of the ellipse align. If I do this, SVG line, do 0, 10, 2. Ooh, interesting. Wrong number of args. Probably needed to do this, right? Yeah. Okay. The midpoint of this particular one is going to be exactly, it's going to be very simple. Midpoint element of a line is k props. Oh, you know what? In this case, I actually am gonna do this. Since I don't need the k from any of these, I'm gonna mark it, make it clear that I'm destructuring it and I only need the props. I don't need the key, so I can just discard it by putting an underscore there. Well, discard, I could just, that's a, what's it called? It's a Clojure convention to indicate to the reader of the code that it's an unused argument. Like you can use this as a valid symbol, right? Like def underscore as valid, right? And it is just a symbol, so you can, this is no different compiler wise than this. It's just convention to show that you don't use it, that's all. So to do this, what I want to do is actually let p1, let's let a be yeah, that's a simple way to do it. A is just going to be, oh wait, let's go back here and run this again. Line, let's make this a little easier to read. x1, y1, x2, y2, yep. Let's let A be map V get whatever key from props x1, y1, and then B is the same. x2, y2, and then the midpoint M is f slash midpoint AB. Oop, and then you return M. Oh, you know what? I don't need to do it this way. I can just do this. Clean this up. Close the let. Close that. Okay. That's a line. Path is a little more involved now, right? I think. So let's do this. Let's have a look here. Path is the hardest one, probably, at the end of the day. Let's do SVG/path. Yeah. Great. Okay, so a path element is going to break down from the D string into a list of points. Technically, it's also going to break into a list of arcs and whatnot, but for the sake of expediency, I'm going to ignore that situation and kind of just use some of my basic functions here. What's a good... There's a whole path thing up here, yeah. Okay. Right. Ugh, my brain. Gotta focus. Gotta close the curtain. I'm getting sun in my eyes. And actually, I'm gonna be right back. Okay. You know, I get the impression that Monday streams are a little less tuned into than other streams. It's often the case that Monday doesn't have as much chat engagement, which is always, you know, it's like, oh man, I wish there were always people in chat, but you know what? That's totally cool too. It is good to just spend time programming and still verbalizing, so it's not like it's a waste of time. And I do get to upload more stuff to the VOD channel and whatnot, so I do wonder if one day I should kind of make a script or something that like semi-randomly cuts all of the streams into like some weird compilation of something. I don't know. If I could like get the audio from every single stream, put it end to end, and then run some kind of analysis over it to get timestamps of noise or something like that, and then just cut at a bunch of timestamps, put that together into a automatically generated stream highlights clip or something. It might be fun to try. I don't know if it would be any good, but it'd be maybe a neat little project. Anyway, okay. Okay. Path, polygon, polyline. Those are the next things to focus on. Oh, you know what? Rectangle's a bit of a gimme, so maybe I'll do that one first. I'll do rectangle because it's easier. And I'm currently in the mood to skip hard ones if I can. Let's not do that. Def method, midpoint of an element, and this element is rectangle, and it takes props, and what I do here is just X and Y are going to already be the midpoint of it, right? Let me see if let's run this sort of test over it. If I do SVG slash rectangle 2, 4, oops, that was bad. Okay, so the width is the same. Oh, let me scale it by 4, the width and height multiply, and then the X and Y and Z position. Why do I have a Z in there? Why did I do that? There shouldn't need to be a Z in there. Suppose it doesn't matter, but that's strange to me that I put that in there. I probably had that in there for, I don't know why. Oh, I have no idea why that's in there. It was probably a holdover from when I was trying to mix 2D, 3D stuff, but that was never a good idea, so I went back on that approach. But let me double check here. Let's have a look at X, Y. No reason it should take Z. This translate thing, probably I have to fix that, but I'll do that later. The rotate is more important at the moment. Rotate element rectangle takes no Z element, of course. Why would it? Scale also, there's no way it needs the Z element. No, okay, we're good. Good. Okay, back to work with this midpoint element stuff. Okay, rectangle, nice and easy. Really, it's not going to be too hard. It can actually just return what did I learn here? It should be able to just return the x and y, right? Like if I just do oh, no, that's not quite right. The x and y is the bottom left corner, or upper left, right? Like it's the corner. Yeah, so what I need to do is actually x and y plus half of the width. So I need to take x and do plus x plus half of the width. Yeah, so that's actually, let's just do it this way. Yeah, this one's easy enough to do directly. It's a little, it's not the most beautiful, but it should be fine. Okay, x from props plus half of width from props okay, and same for the y. With the height. Yeah, that should be it. Okay, that is the rectangle done. Now path. Blich. The most tedious one. Let's have a little sneak peek here at how I dealt with translating. So what happens basically is this here. You know what? I kind of need to take this as a starting point. And I can bring that up here and paste Dorino. Okay, so path strings, S split lines, D props, which is fine for now. Paths, map, path string to path over the path strings. Then I don't need new paths. I don't actually need to transform anything. I just need endpoints here is going to be for path in paths. Let for path in paths, path string to path. Actually, wait, paths. Okay, actually, I think I can skip ahead here. So paths at this point is going to be a list of lists of points. So I can actually just do midpoint is f/midpoint of apply concat to paths, and that should maybe be it actually. So assuming that the path string is in the correct form, which I'll assume for this case it is, that makes reasonable sense to me. So we've got now path is done, polygon and polyline. I don't remember how to handle those, but let's do one of these. Copy that up. Let's make sure I've got midpoint element, and instead of this nonsense I gotta do that. Okay, and have a look at this now. So path done, midpoint element polygon, is very easy. Points is just string to points of the points from the props. New points don't matter. Yeah, that's sweet. And then I guess polyline is going to be exactly the same approach. Yeah, so I just do f/midpoint points, which points. Okay, let's go with that. Copy that, paste that there. Okay, polygon and polyline are done, as is rectangle. Text and G are not finished. Text is a huge mess, so I really don't know if I should bother to finish it. It has an X and a Y, and the rotate has this is wrong. This text element I think I need to redo and just not have it do anything really. I'm going to ignore the text element for now. Actually, I do need it to do, let's do here, def method, midpoint of element, text, props. I'm just going to make it return X of props and Y props, and put a little attention here. This is not done yet. Text in general needs big fix, needs a redo. But that should be okay there. And now the big boy. Split here and put another little thing here. Midpoint group. Whoops. Right, just like I did here. What did I call it here? Group rotate. Yeah. Group translate. This whole business. Let's see here. Group midpoint. All right. Now we are on to something. Declare midpoint, and here, so here maybe this is a naming mistake because I've got from a different library I have a different midpoint function. From my Forge library I have midpoint, but that's the nice thing about namespacing, right? It'll be SVG/midpoint is different than F/midpoint. Maybe a mistake, I don't know yet, I'll have to see. But also this is more than likely to just be an internal function only, so I might make it private, but not now, because it doesn't matter at the moment. Okay. The logic of midpoint element for a group tag is different because it has to follow the same kind of approach as this one here. Okay, where I destructure everything and I actually just run. Oh, no. Okay, this is now I've done one thing a little bit raw. Excuse me. I actually need blank props and content like this. And then what I need to do here is return f/midpoint of map v midpoint from this namespace. I need to map that function over content and then get the midpoint of that whole thing of the group tag itself. Right, that makes sense to me. Is it gonna work? That's the ticket. I don't know. Okay, but the mistake I made is related to, so have a look at these here for a minute. K props of a circle's fine, K props of that's fine, K props of that, path fine, 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 fine. Okay, the only one I goofed is text. Okay, so it's actually not so bad. I just need properties and text. Okay. Let's save all of that. And now to finally get to what I was really trying to do, group rotate. What I really need to do here is, in fact, do a rotate I need to do let m be midpoint I shouldn't even need to map. Oops. Let me double check that this makes sense. Okay, that should be fine too. Because the midpoint interface works on any number of elements, one or many, it doesn't matter. So I don't need to map it. If I mapped it, it would end up working kind of the same way, but I don't need to do a map. It ends up being redundant. Okay, rotate, group rotate. So I think this could work. What I need to do is do thread last all of the content through translate mx my negative mx negative my rotate degree. Wait a second. This is not quite right. I have to actually rotate element by transform. Ooh boy. Okay. Wait a second, this is a little bit wrong here. Let's back up a step here. Okay, so I have the midpoint nicely. I want to do, boy oh boy, what's the right way now? So I have the midpoint. I need to rotate everything as a group, but I need to apply that rotate from its center point. Rotate element by transform. It already has the transform rotation here, and it applies it adds degrees to the rotation without moving the X and Y position of that rotation at all. So if I want to rotate about the midpoint, I need to add this transform string manually myself. But if I do that and then I rotate a group inside a group, what happens then? Do things stack up appropriately? Okie doodle. It's harder than I thought. Thinking. Okay, in this thing, the content that's passed in is unaffected, so it makes no sense for me to. Oh my goodness! Come on, brain, you can think this through. Well, let me try the first thing that's kind of coming to mind here. I'm going to start with this. Let me go over to, let's go over here. Oops. Okay, so basically what I'm doing, I have the midpoint. The only difference here is get props. I don't need to get props actually. I do need to add the degrees to the existing rotation, and similarly from X and from Y I do need to subtract MX divided by 2. And my divided by 2. And return that whole thing. I don't know if that's right, but we're gonna find out. Boy, oh boy, are we going to find out. Broken. What's wrong here? Yeah, it's broken. Okay, that's a problem, but not an unsolvable one, just a tough one. Okay. Right, let's see now what's going on. What was that midpoint business though? Midpoint. Did I screw this up maybe? It's possible. Oh, no, that's not it. Well, okay, let's inspect here. Probably have some weird errors. Oh boy. Any chance I could see the... No. Style element is undefined. Is it really though? Is it really? It wasn't before. What did I do wrong now? It's right here. It exists. I'm a little confused here. Okay, well, let me have a little look here. Let's get rid of step 2 for a moment. Let's keep things as simple as possible. Okay, so I have a problem here. Polygon, use of undeclared var, midopint element. Well, that's one problem. Typos, classic mistake that I make all the time. How's everybody doing today, by the way? If you're tuned in and not chatting, that's totally cool. But if you want to join in the chat, just let me know how you're doing. Love to hear from you. Okay. Okay, polygon, transform, midpoint element, midpoint. That particular problem is solved. Did I declare element somewhere else here? What's happening? Okay, let's see. Translate interface. Ah, here's the problem. Not a big problem, but a problem nonetheless. That makes more sense to me. Have it up with the shape declarations, SVG elements, if it's in there. Yeah, that makes total sense to have it there instead. Better, for sure that's better. Okay. Now, style element is undefined. That's not true, but it's saying it is. Not sure why that's happening. Let me have a look. Okay, so here, right, SVG transforms style, it is here, style dash element, kprops and content, right, it does exist. Now why is this happening? Let's refresh the browser, see if we get better compilation. Okay, so that error is gone. Step in the right direction. But we still don't have visual. Let's try this again. Okay. Oh, you know, let's try this. Save that. There's just text. That should render okay. Okay, let's go to the console here. Warnings. Let's clear all that. Let's refresh the page. Let's only look at errors. Okay, so there's still errors here. Midpoint, no method in multi-method midpoint dash element for dispatch value group. Did I just miss something entirely here? What am I doing wrong here? Okay, def multi midpoint dash element function taking nothing and then an element, and then you dispatch on the first from element. Okay. This is so far exactly the same, right? Man, what am I missing here? Oh, it's actually, this is actually what it needs to be, right? Since I'm not giving any, yeah, I think that's actually what's going wrong here. Let's refresh the browser here. Ah, yes, okay. We've got visual. We've got visual. Blueberry method text. Fingers crossed this gives us something. Okay. So we've got things not working. Classic. Okay. Not a big deal. Just a bit disappointing. but I half expected this to be the case because, well, I didn't necessarily solve the entire problem. So let me step back and have a look at just this thing here. Let's move this into a visible space here. Let's go 45 degrees. Okay, so translate, or pardon me, rotate is having no real effect at all. Which, let me, let's have a look in the REPL at BB step 1. Interesting. We've got not a number all over the place. Okay. Interesting. The reason for that is well, let's check out if I make, okay, well, let's do SVG midpoint. Now is a chance for me to actually test this out. SVG / rectangle 10 2 0 0, we're good there. But if I do SVG midpoint of SVG / rectangle 10 2 10 2, and I SVG / translate it 10 2, that should change the midpoint to 10 2. Yes. Okay. Good news. Good news. If I do SVG midpoint of a group, now a moment of truth here. Oh, okay, so it did calculate a midpoint there. I'll be right back. Okay, may as well keep this ball rolling on trying to figure out what's actually going on here. I think what might be happening is, well, really I'm getting not a number here, which is obviously an issue. I do wonder if it's related to my where did that come from? Well, actually, there's maybe two problems here. One second. I don't need to do this. What I need to check is this rotate thing. All right, here I am. This here okay, string to transform map. Let's test that function out here. Giving it the string rotate 0, 0, 0. If I now do I'm trying to just recreate this little bit of logic here. So I'll just copy that into here and start zipping things in and out just to have a look. See where it breaks down, because it might be in this particular snippet here. Okay, so in rotate 0 plus, let's say the degrees is 45, and let's say the midpoint here is 5 and here's 1. Okay, so it does return numbers, so that doesn't seem to be the issue. At least not yet. Is it the case that I do have midpoint element of a group, and that is run the midpoint on everything. So let me check now if there's a midpoint on nested elements. Does that actually, on nested group elements, I mean, does that break or work? Okay, so if I copy this group and put it inside itself, just as a quick okay, there we go. Now I have a problem. Okay. We get not a number there right away. And the reason I don't know the reason. It might be related to apply. I might have to I thought I don't know why it doesn't work. right? Because here I just get 2 group tags, right? So if I run this again, okay, so I've got a group with no stuff in it at all, and a rectangle with 2 groups with nothing in them. Let me try this. Map. G's not sequable. Yeah. Well, let me try this. Drop 2 from this. Yeah, so it does. Right, so what I've just done there, I got the midpoint of the rectangle is this. The midpoint of the translated rectangle is that. And the midpoint of this group is that. So I mapped midpoint onto that. But why didn't it work? Oh, sorry, I need to do SVG. Should work on yeah. So it works on that list of things, and it should work just as well on a single group. Right, so if you do, there's a group, but there's also like that. Should now give 2 items. Okay. Okay, so this, I don't understand why this doesn't work. It does. Okay, something else is wrong. Okay, why? What did I do wrong? Here. Okay, here I want to have a look at what's going on. I've got one group that has a rectangle and a translated rectangle in it, and another group inside of that which has the same things in it. And this should just work. Right, not a number. Why though? If I take out the translates, does that work? Let's find out. That's not it. If I take out the group, this works. If I only have this group, that works too. I am very confused as to why that's not working the way I expect. Could it just be the update in? If you update in rotate 2 of the map, rotate, but it only has that in it. Does that non in it? Eh? Oh, whoops. I did this wrong. Right, so I wanna, what am I even doing? Okay, update in this map, in the position, rotate the third, like the final third, the index 2, which doesn't exist in this case, by doing -3. What happens? It does work. Oh. Index out of bounds. Okay, I'm running out of steam here because I just am not tracking with what's going on at all, unfortunately. It looks like I'm almost there, but just don't quite have an understanding of what's truly going on. Oh, wait, give me one little, this here, BB, it's an object. Oh, that's not what I want either. I want this. BBA has a bunch of nils in it. It's a G tag with nothing at all, right? if I do midpoint on this, does it nil or give me, no, that works. Okay, so that is kind of working. Where am I going wrong now? I have this rotate and translate, right? If I do SVG/rotate by 45 degrees BBA, okay, so the nada numbers are appearing in this process. If I force this to have, if I do this, SVG/style element, and I do, if I give this style transform rotate 0, 0, 0, okay, so I seed it with an empty rotate thing. Does that prevent the error? That's my question. No, that's not the issue. Okay. I'm stuck. Okay, so this rotate thing is bugging me out here. Is it just related to this business here? It's possible, because I have to update it with a function, so maybe I need to do it like this. If I do this, I'm not sure that that's correct, but we'll give it a shot. It might be right. Might be right. Okay, let's try that. Try get a sneaky little recompile in there. Still, I don't think that's completely accurate now. Where am I at now? This 45 degrees. Just purposely change it, get things 90, 45. Do things work at all? Let me go back to this situation. It's not a group element anymore. And this, oh, I'm editing the wrong thing. Let's leave that be. Right here, comment this out and make that that. Yeah, okay, so it works on everything but group elements. So something's gone wrong, to say the least. Okay, here. This worked no problem. So this is somehow messing things up. MX and MY, midpoint of content, that should work, right? Also, is it actually, it should just be, maybe, let's make things a step simpler here. MY, alright, let's give that a shot. Bring this back. Ooh, hopping around like crazy over here. Okay, save that. Still kind of broken as far as I can see. Shoot, not really getting anywhere. Okay. I feel like I'm actually closer than I think, but I'm just misunderstanding something maybe a little simple that I'm just totally missing. Those not a numbers are bugging me out here. Right, so if I do SVG / midpoint of drop 2 of BBA, right? Oh, wait a second, that's okay, this is why it's a problem. It's probably as simple as this. This is not correct. These are I have to do this. I have to do F / midpoint of the midpoints of content, because content is going to be a list of points. If, let me check, F / midpoint, if I do a list of only one point, does it fail or does it work? Okay, that works. These are not a number because they're not numbers, they're lists. Or vectors even, sorry. They're actually vectors. Okay, let's give this a shot. I don't believe it. And then this probably has to be half of the midpoint, actually. Let me think about that. Right, so if I have the midpoint, no, it actually should be just the midpoint. That's probably fine. Okay, let's, oh, I pressed the wrong buttons. Like a goof, like a goose. Okay. Minimal change. Yeah, let's refresh it. Ooh, getting something. Okay. So this is wrong, but it's nice, at least, because well, it's nice in a way because it gets me well, the rotate function is doing something now, so that's okay. Ish. Alright, what's this all mess here? Okay, so this rectangle, where's all my stuff? Yes, so actually, I've just noticed a particular problem now. But let me have a little look at so this is going to pinwheel I need to, yeah, the other ones are rotated like, oh, this is even, yeah, you can't, they're all rotated out of the view of here, but they exist. But that's due to an oversight of my own. I wonder though if I do this first now, if I translate it first, does that actually make a difference now? No. Okay. Let's see what step 2 looks like with this new rotate. Okay, we'll zoom in all over the place here. Yeah, so we're on the right track, but not quite there yet. So one nice thing that's happening is the entire group is rotating together. The thing that's not correct is it's rotating globally still, because finding the midpoint, if the midpoint's 0, 0, right, it makes no actual difference. I need to, let me think about it. Right, so part of the issue here is I haven't considered I'm thoroughly confused, and because of that I think I'm gonna have to get going for the day. I'm gonna keep knocking my head against this problem for the day because I feel like I'm kind of close to figuring it out, but it's related to calculating the correct offsets to move things to, so that I can rotate groups together, but still get the independent rotation stuff like I normally want. But I think with my midpoint calculation, I am missing something. If an element has a translation applied to it, the total group needs to consider that in... No, that's not correct either. I'm close. I almost have it in my head, but it's just not quite there yet, that's all. It could have something to do with... a translate might be this. It might be here. This bonus translate here. Oops. No, that's not it. I just need to look at stacked rotates and translates. Things might be incorrectly overwriting other things, and that's not helpful. So back to the drawing board for me. It's been a long stream too, almost 3 hours. So that's me calling it for the day. Gonna take a break, get some food, get a bit of exercise in, and then maybe tackle this problem tonight yet a little bit, or perhaps tomorrow morning, because it's something I have to solve and I feel like I'm close, so that'll be good. Nothing much to say yet. Thanks for tuning in if you tuned in at all. Catch me on the next stream. If you want to participate, go ahead and chat. If you want to send me messages, you can do so on Twitch, on YouTube. If you find my business email, you can send me inquiries about things, anything like that. That's what I got going on. Hope you have a good day, and I'll be back again tomorrow. So that's it for me. Good night.